Hi Zen fam. So, gaming is not for kids anymore. Zenblock, how can you say this? Well, I can say this in great detail. So, get yourself a drink, get yourself a snack, snap on your headphones. I'm going deep on this one. Pause the video and get those things. Okay, so now you're nice and comfy. You got your drink, you got your snacks, you got your headphones, snuggled down. Let's get into this puppy. Right, gaming has gotten more expensive. Yes, we can agree to that. Gaming has gotten really expensive. The price of the equipment, the price of the subscriptions, the prices of the games, the prices of our time. Our time as gamers gets ever smaller and more condensed and more compact and more pulled upon by the other stuff in our lives. Like, I'm 51, okay? I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a full-time worker, and I'm a YouTuber. Sometimes I feel like I need three of me. Okay? Like the Michael Keaton movie Multiplicity. I need more than one Zenblock to do everything I've got to do. When I'm trying to make content, I'm trying to be on top of everything and, make sure my family's looked after and trying to get enough sleep. Sleep, oh God. Wow. Anyway, okay, so gaming is getting more and more expensive in every commodifiable way you can think of, both financially and on time. It demands our focus. It demands, our money. I mean, I'd like to think that I'm actually a better gamer now in my 50s than I was in my 20s. Yes, my fingers could fly with greater ease, and I had faster reflexes in my 20s. But I'm a more patient, a more attentive, and more observant gamer now. And you need to have that because the games are so much larger and so much more complex. And of course, the complexity is what's brought about the rise in price of that, and of course, greedy CEOs. Because everything comes down to greedy CEOs. It's like, anybody got a lighter? Yeah. Whew. Okay, so gaming has got expensive, and time has got expensive. And kids are just not as big gamers as they once were. Kids have got a bunch of other stuff they're doing. Kids are more involved in social media, and a child's interest levels have shifted over the last decade or so. I mean, look, there's no more kids' TV anymore. How many times have we watched videos on YouTube about, the great cartoons of the 80s and the 90s? These shows were amazing. Kids now, they don't really have much of that. Little ones do, little ones. They'll have stuff like Sarah and Duck and Paw Patrol. Obviously stuff that ages with them. But you get to a certain age, and then that stuff just dies off. There's nothing for the young team. And they kind of get their heads around controllers, because controllers have gotten more and more complex. And you're not really going to buy a 10-year-old, if you're saying, a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X, because of how much they cost. I mean, when I got my PS5 on launch night, it was $550. It's more expensive now, 6 years down the road, than it was on launch night. What kind of lunacy is that? Insane. I mean, yes, we all know the facts behind it, global shortages of products and materials, the cost of fuel to transport those bits and pieces around the planet because of wars started by Orange Lunatic. All kinds of stuff has come and impacted upon gaming because everything is connected. Everything is connected. People go like, politics has got nothing to do with me. No, politics has got everything to do with everything. But I'm getting distracted, okay? But the fact, look, a lot of games out there have got age certifications on them, and for good reason. All the biggest games, all the most successful games, all the games with the most money ploughed into them in research and development are for the adult audience. Doom, God of War, Death Stranding, Cyberpunk, Horizon, Metro. You could go on and on and on. Borderlands, Grand Theft Auto games. Most any franchise you want to go on to, or even individual games, largely speaking, they're marketed for adults, at adults. Even some games that you would think might look like a kid's game, they're still for adults. Like Ken at British Spirits. Fantastic game. But if you were to have a little kid play that, they'd be scared out of their mind. Because there is stuff in that game that for a little person would be properly brain melty. I mean, as an adult, I'm obviously, when I'm saying adult, I'm putting that in inverted commas because I've never felt like an adult. This is still 18. Oh dear God. But yeah, gaming is just not for kids anymore. I mean, look at cartoons back in the pre-war, post-war period. Okay? Those cartoons back then, they weren't really for children. I mean, if you look at the Flintstones, that was basically just an animated adult sitcom about family life in America. They just dressed it up with dinosaurs and stone. But the concerns they were having were basically the concerns put about in the sitcoms of the same time. And a lot of them were stuff to be enjoyed by the GIs, in the field. Or they would put a projector up and have USO shows and stuff, and those were entertainment for the masses. And some of it was also to push against the Nazis. I mean, my God, part of it was for the war effort of that period. I'm not saying you get the same thing with games now, but it's definitely an adult medium. You need to be a conscious, intentional person to play a video game now. Okay, they demand time, they demand learning, comprehension, focus, and intentionality. And you don't get a lot of those traits in humans between the ages of say 6 to 15, maybe 14. Let's go with 14. So yeah, less and less I believe that gaming can be specified as a children's hobby. It's definitely an adult thing. And I don't know how more to put it. It really is just that way. The average age of the average gamer, currently speaking, is in their mid-30s. Their mid-30s. I mean, when you reach your mid-30s, a lot of you are out there and you're thinking about starting a family. Or maybe you have just started a family. That might be a little bit of a statement now in 2026 because nobody's got enough money to even think about starting a family. But that's the model that I've grown up with. I mean, that's what I was thinking of when I was in my mid-30s. And I did. I mean, my kid is 16. So yeah, 16 years ago, I was in my mid-30s. That's just how it goes. Some people start a bit later, some people start a bit sooner, but generally speaking, that's when most people consider the time when you start thinking about having a family, if indeed that is your thing. No shade on anybody that doesn't want to. I mean, my sister's a prime example of that. So is my sister-in-law. And, People need a release valve, especially when you've come from a long day of work dealing with all the stuff that life throws at you. And as life has gotten more and more expensive and more time expensive, the options of what we can do, diminish and compress and condense and get more focused to the point where the best thing we can probably do for ourselves is video games for a lot of us. Obviously not the gamer. The people who don't play video games don't think that, but they'll involve themselves in other forms of media. Generally speaking, watching sports or watching soaps or movies or reading books. And that's all groovy. That's great for those people. But for us gamers, that's what we want. We want video games. And we're continually told that the thing we love is a waste of time, it's a mindless pursuit, and that it's for kids. It's lunacy. It's maddening. And then we're also told that gaming can't be art. And I've done the video about how gaming and art are very much one and the same thing a lot of the time. I mean, when you consider there are gamers out there who are in their 80s who are like streamers and stuff. There are people out there who are like playing video games who 20, 30 years ago you wouldn't have considered for them to be into video games. Humanity evolves, it changes, it grows, it mutates. And as gaming has changed and grown and mutated, admittedly not always for the best, but it's a mirror of us. It's art imitates life and life imitates art. All that malarkey. We're living in a really interesting time, okay, where video games can look so much like our world that we live in, and at the same time, they can have an art style that looks nothing like anything we've ever seen or experienced, but both things can get into our heads and we can exist in that space for a short while and leave the world behind. And that's important, because when you are spending all your time doing everything you can to make sure that stuff doesn't fall apart, being a parent, working a job, commuting, doing housework, paying bills, eating food, sleeping, defecating, all the little tiny knives that are stabbed into you of requirements on your existence. And the only time you feel like you've got on a knife-proof vest is when you sit down with a pad in your hand and go and be somewhere else, or even be someone else. But like when I did that video a couple of years ago, why do people like to play as the opposite sex to themselves in video games? And that's because when you can play a video game, you can become something else for a while. Even just vicariously through a screen, through your fingers, you get to be a different thing. You get to live another life. You could be an alien creature. You could be a cat running through an enclosed dystopian city filled with robots. You can be a cartoon character. You could be a superhero. You could be, a space warrior. You could be a guy running around an alternate history Earth with magical powers and a big sword. Anything can happen. Everything is possible. It's all up for grabs. And gaming is different to every other form of media, aside from the fact it's the biggest of all of them in revenue and in audience share. The fact of the matter is, when you're playing a video game, it's not a passive experience. We know this. And we try to educate the masses on this, but they don't get it. The fact that, like, when they're watching a movie or they're watching a sporting event, it's a passive existence. The media comes in, it's absorbed, minute by minute, second by second, hour by hour. It just washes over them. And yes, they may emotionally connect to it on one level or another, but they don't put back into it. Our medium, as gamers, we're putting into it as much as we're getting out of it. It's, in essence, a symbiotic relationship. That's a little bit fancy, but, technically speaking, it's true. So, with the intentionality, the constant feedback, the fact that we're focused on this one piece of our existence where we get to be something else and not worry about the world because we've got plenty to worry about. Oh my God, have we got plenty to worry about? I am quite certain being able to state clearly for the record that as much as I believe gaming is for everybody and all gaming is good gaming, that gaming, basically speaking, at its most developed end, at its biggest price point, at its most compelling, is for the older gamer. People that are like of working age. People that are able to have bills and pay for stuff. People that need a point where a place to go where they can release themselves and release the world away from themselves. Now, that's not to say that young people, don't have stresses and strains in their life. I mean, we've all sat the exams when we were at school, and they were scary and they were stressful. And the life of the young team now is not without stress. I mean, it's probably actually in some ways more stressful now than it was then. I mean, they've got to deal with the idea of social media and the fact that, like, everywhere they go, there's a camera that could possibly record what they're doing, what they're saying, and who they're hanging about with, and it be forever online, and they get judged for it. And then they've got all the expectations coming at them from, like, Instagram and TikTok of you got to be this way, you have to listen to this music, and this is the current trend, and if you're not doing this particular thing at this particular time, then nobody wants to talk to you, nobody wants to be your pal because you're not relevant. And all these pressures, way more than I had as a teenager. Not to mention that there's nowhere for them to go. I mean, if you're a teenager now, right, there's nothing for you to do really. I mean, when I was a teenager, best we could do, admittedly, because we were scant, but we could go. I would go to my mates' houses and we'd play music, and we might do. There was our Sundays we'd play video games because one of us had a Mega Drive. Well, no, tell a lie. Another one of the side friends did have a Master System, but we scarcely ever got on it. Anyway, because Eric, he always hogged it. But yeah, there's like, we were involved in music and we were involved in chatting and and as we got a little bit through the teenage years, it's like the upper end of the teenage years, of course we were involved in other things. And of course you're thinking about like that as well. So that's another aspect, But the teenagers now, although some of those things exist for them now, they have no money and they've got nowhere to go. And even if they did get anywhere to go, they've got like no money to do anything to do it when they get there. And that's why you end up with parents on the back of the bus being knobheads, because they're bored, and that's the only thing they can afford to do is go from place to place on the bus for free. So at least they're there. Right? And our governments don't do anything for anybody. They just funnel our tax money into, giving tax breaks to the rich. And corporations don't pay their fair share of taxes because they're given a pass, because they give money to politicians. And then the politicians tell us that we're not doing enough. It's just like, and it's stress upon stress upon stress. And the relief for that stress, for so many of us out here, is of course, the video games. And they're becoming less viable because they're becoming more and more expensive, as I previously stated. And it's just this circle. So there needs to be a recognition, okay, that gaming is ours. And we're going to do it. And you had better not judge us non-gamey people. I've said my piece. Hashtag support Scottish YouTubers. And of course, as always, aye, nae bother.